I'm the Disc Golf Guy, and this is my video blog. We have caught up with our professional women here for round number 3 out here at the beautiful Northwood Park. These competitors are playing the short tees this round. They're still going to be challenged because there's some very tight and technical shots and a few wide open shots. Their second hole is hole number 18, one of the most gorgeous holes you'll find in the Peoria area. We're excited to bring you all the coverage and the action. This is the 2014 Ledgestone Insurance Open. Opening hole, which is number 17. Catrina Allen has the tee, and she throws a very nice shot up and to the left-hand side of the fairway. There is OB on the right-hand side of the fairway, and over the fence long is also out of bounds. Our 2012 World Champion, Sarah Hokom, on the tee. Sarah, notorious for her forehand shots, throws them just about every time she has a chance to. And that catches a tree and kicks her to the left. During this round, Catrina had a 5-stroke lead over Sarah Hokom. On the card now is Jessica Weese. And similar to Sarah, Jessica hits a tree on the right-hand side, and that's going to keep her on that side. And joining the card for the first time this weekend here on the leader card is ABC-sponsored Colleen Thompson. Colleen, an amateur world champion. And she's off on the left. These ladies are about to begin a very long and daunting round. We see Jessica on the right-hand side just tossing up partially up the fairway. She didn't have a lot of action there. Not too much you can do here. If you get off of the fairway here on hole 17, sometimes just laying up is the best you're going to be able to do. Colleen's got somewhat of a hyzer shot, and she's out and into the opening. However, she's going to be a little bit short. After Jessica's second shot, she is out and finishes up and to the left. She might be just a little bit short there for her putt. Sarah had a very awkward stance, but manages to throw a nice forehand out and around. She's hoping to get up and down and take a par 3. Colleen's third shot places her left of the pin. This is Catrina's second shot. She made it all the way up and out of the gap. She's going to be happy with a 3 here. And Jessica with a somewhat awkward stutter step on her straddle putt, and there she is putting in for a 5. Not exactly the start she was looking for. Colleen is going to tap in here for 4, and Catrina starting off right where she left off on the previous round. Solid hole here, taking the par 3. Sarah's going to settle in, and she is good also with a par 3. There you have it. The first hole for these ladies, hole number 17 at Northwood Park. And as we move over to the beautiful hole number 18, certainly one of a number of gorgeous holes that you'll find in the area. However, this is arguably one of the most beautiful finishing holes anywhere in the Midwest. Catrina Allen throws a very nice shot right out into the center of the fairway. This hole, as it showed, measured in at 660 feet. Road to the right is out of bounds, as well as the creek directly below where they are. Sarah setting up for her patented forehand shot. She does clip a little bit of cabbage there on the right-hand side. However, she's out and into the center of the fairway. Really a good place to be. You don't want to be too far right on this hole, as then you may have to contend with forcing over an anhyzer on the second shot. In Sarah's case, that might be okay, knowing that she throws a forehand. Colleen ripping her drive, and it catches on the left-hand side. Gets a little bit of a lift and a carry left toward the creek. And Jessica, who is predominantly also a forehand thrower, goes with a backhand here and just doesn't look like she gave it enough air there. Looks like it hit the ground and rolled a little bit. And we see Colleen's second shot from down in the creek. This will be her third shot. Again, this is a par 4, measuring in at 660 feet, so certainly not an easy hole, and if you find yourself off to the left, it can be much more challenging. Here's Sarah Hokom with a nice flip-up shot. She's going to be just a bit short, I believe, where she's at. And Catrina looks like she could have used a little bit more air under that as well, so it had time to flatten. And that would be an uncharacteristic air there by Jessica. Looks like she just threw it straight into the ground. I think that's going to cost her an extra stroke up here. And she has at least 50 feet to the pin. She's going to be laying up and taking a 5 if she can get up and down from there. Hokom's putt for birdie 3 is off the front of the basket. And it looks like she may have skipped a few steps. Very ghost-like of her. Colleen taps in. Colleen's going to take a 5. She was not in the creek, however, took her a few to get out of there. Catrina will tap in for her 4. Jessica's going to start out her tournament round here, the third round, with 5-5. And Colleen with a 4 there as well. That's hole number 18. 4-4 and 5-5 by Jessica and Colleen. Hole 1 is actually a newer hole. They've adjusted this hole over the last few years. Catrina's throwing a mid-range, which seemed to just lightly carry over to the left-hand side. This hole sets up nicely for a four-hander. However, Sarah's going to need to carry it very straight for approximately 275 feet. And then at the very end, if it fades somewhat to the right, that will work out just fine. I'm not sure if she had quite enough distance. She may have actually been too far right, or possibly even slipped down the hillside on the back. Colleen mentioned earlier in the day, actually, that she does not throw many forehands. It seems like it's a shot she's been just working on as of recently. And that seemed very fluid and smooth. However, it looks like it was just a bit tight to the right-hand side. And as I said earlier, Jessica is certainly most comfortable throwing a forehand. She has more than enough power. And unfortunately, she absolutely just nails that tree. Jessica is able to go with another forehand. It's carrying toward the basket, however, it hits a very late tree. And she's going to have a little bit more work to do. Colleen also gives it a little flick around the side. She's just looking to get up and down and take a 3 here. Catrina was pin high on the left-hand side, and Catrina and then Jessica right away needing to pretty much just lay it up as a very fast green. And Sarah Hokom getting a horrible roll away. She was just off the front of the basket there, and unfortunately that actually rolled further back than her previous putt. So she's going to have at least 35 feet uphill, maybe closer to 40, and putting for a 2, and unfortunately it turns into a 4. Jessica had actually hit a little bit of a root, I guess, depending on where you're from. And although she was simply trying to lay up, I'm sure she would have liked a few extra feet in that layup. However, she makes easy work of her 20-footer. Again, hole 1, 312 feet. A very fast green. That will be Colleen Thompson carding a 3. Sarah Hokom will tap in for her 4. We saw Jessica Weese take her 4. And with a very short and easy tap in, Catrina takes her 3. Let's take a look at hole number 2 at Northwood Park. And parring hole number 1 was Catrina Allen, so she does have the tee here on hole number 2. This is a 198-foot shot. She catches a tree on that left-hand side, but she does get forward momentum. She's going to be about pin high there, looking at least at 35 feet. Next on the tee is Colleen Thompson. Colleen has a turnover, which pretty much just carries the entire way. She doesn't hit anything. Third on the tee is Sarah Hokom. And a shot I've never seen before out of Sarah Hokom. I've known her for a few years now, and she's going with an overhand right off the tee. And after a little bit of a squiggle or squabble or dancing around, she sits about 35 feet from the pin. And although Jessica's go-to shot is not a backhand, it looks like it is there, throwing it perfectly to about 10 feet away from the pin. She's going to be happy with a birdie look on this one. Catrina Allen confirmed that she is just outside the circle's edge and makes good on the birdie too. Solid uphill putt by Catrina, especially after seeing Sarah Hokom's putt on the previous uphill shot roll away. Sarah faced with another uphill putt, and she catches the lower pole, however, not high enough to go in here. She may have been a little bit tentative after that previous hole and roll away. Jessica has a little bit more than 10 feet, and she makes good on her birdie too. Colleen takes a moment there to confirm her exact placement of her mini with that downed log, and she makes good. She had thrown her second shot to just behind that log and taps in for her 3. Sarah has a 3, as does Colleen, and we see birdies by Jessica as well as Catrina.
Hole 3 is a 219-foot uphill shot as Catrina is aiming right for me. Jessica's coming in here with a forehand shot. And just a few feet right of the pin. She's about 24 feet deep of the basket there. And Colleen throwing a gorgeous mid-range drive straight up the middle. And it looks like Sarah has turned hers over. And she's at least 35 to 40 feet left with her birdie putt. And although a good bid, just a bit short. Jessica from 24 feet is good. Catrina makes good on her birdie opportunity. And with a very short and easy tap in, Colleen will also be looking to card the birdie 2. And with that being said, Colleen, Catrina, and Jessica all carding birdie 2s here on the short 3rd hole. And Sarah Hokom taking a 3. And you see a very tight and wooded hole here on number 4. Catrina throwing right into the first tree there on the right-hand side. This gap is actually even smaller when throwing from the long tee just behind it. And Jessica also finds a tree there with her drive. In fact, the trees out here are not very hard to find. They're everywhere, especially on this tee shot. Colleen's lining up for more of a hyzer shot. And that may have finished left in the woods had she not grabbed the 3rd tree in the center row. One shot we see by Dana Vici on this hole is he actually stands on the back of the long tee when he's playing it and throws a forehand roller. It looks like Sarah Hokom's going to line up and go with that exact same idea. Oh, she hits a tree, and after the rollback, she gains no more than 15 feet off the tee. She's going to have some work to do if she wants to get up and down here. And a beautiful turnover forehand by Sarah Hokom. That should get her up there looking for a possible par save. And Catrina's on the left-hand side, gets a very nice skip up toward the basket. Very nice recovery shot. Colleen is out and to the right, and it catches the next set of trees. Although Jessica hit an early tree, she found herself out in the open here on hole number 4. And throws a nice backhand to 15 feet left of the pin. Sarah Hokom gets up and down and saves her 3. Very happy after just a 15-foot initial drive here on this hole. Colleen Thompson had thrown another approach shot, which puts her right of the basket. This is her putting for bogey 4. And right into the heart of the chains with authority. Jessica's recovery shot has her just short and left of the pin. also, like Colleen, straight into the heart of the chains. She's going to be happy to get up and down from there and save her 3. And Catrina does the same. 3 very nice par saves and a bogey by Colleen Thompson. And after a very lengthy backup, as you will always find here on hole number 5, Catrina throws a very nice looking layup shot. If you are not going for the green on this hole, you simply want to, well, you pretty much want to throw exactly what Catrina just did. Something nice and flat that's going to land in that area so that you can attack the green from there. I think Jessica had a slight misfire there off into the right hand side. It did kick her left. Sarah can be a little bit more aggressive here. A forehand shot is the best way to try and attack the green. And she's definitely not laying this up with that shot. And according to the spotter, it looks as if she had hit and finished on the right hand side. That is certainly the risk you take. Hole 5 measuring in at 419 feet. And Colleen has a very nice looking initial shot here on hole number 5. Jessica's forehand is low and on the left, and after only seeing Sarah throw one overhand ever before, here she is throwing her the second time I've ever seen her throw one. And as you can see, this is exactly where you want to land if you're laying up. Catrina's approach is low and doesn't quite get onto the island. There is not OB down there. It is just a lower level area that makes it a little bit more challenging to putt from. However, there is not OB. And a very loud whack as Colleen Thompson hits the stump that is in front of her. In fact, it startles the entire group at the time. And Jessica throws a very nice shot, indicating that is her 3rd shot. She's going to be laying up and dropping in for a 4. Actually, that might have been her giving me a cookie recipe. I'm not sure. This is Sarah Hokom on the left-hand side. After throwing her 2nd shot, she is just 15 feet to the left for a 4. Kat's putt for birdie 3 is just off the front of the cage. There's the lower area. And Colleen has no problem putting in. She's going to take a par 4. Catrina will also take a par 4. Paul Ulibarri was actually on the right-hand side of the pin, no more than 15 feet away when we had walked through this hole. Certainly a CTP candidate, as his name was on the flag. And he must have been very aggressive and a little bit lucky to drive all the way down to the green on hole number 5. There you have it, as Jessica takes her 4 as well. All 4 competitors with par 4s on hole number 5. Hole 6 measures in at 321 feet. And Jessica, who has never played this course before, asks exactly where the basket is. And Catrina replied, right where my disc is. Jessica finishes a little bit hard on the left-hand side. She's going to be looking up at the basket, but have a little work to do from there. If Sarah can get this to fade all the way down as she throws a understable forehand disc, she may have a look at a birdie from there. And unfortunately, she does not turn that over at all, and she's going to finish on the right-hand side. The basket is in the sunny area, but on the left side of it. A right-handed backhand player is going to want to throw as straight as they can with a very little fade at the end. And that looks to be a nice shot by Colleen. A little bit more of a kick than she was looking for. Had that cut inside the tree and just faded, it would have been a very nice shot. And Sarah lines up and puts it right underneath the basket, as does Jessica. Colleen's shot just a bit short. She seemed to hang that one off and to the right. If it had a little bit of angle on it, that could have hyzered to the pin. So she's going to have a little work to do from that right-hand side. Catrina is short of the pin by about 25 feet here. And her uphill putt is offline. And from just above Colleen's view, just circles it into the right-hand side. As she says, no chains required. Catrina will tap in for her 3. Jessica will do the same. And Sarah's looking at a 3. All 3 ladies, I should say all 4 ladies, have easily tapped in for their 3s here on hole number 6. Hole number 7 is just 201 feet with a very fast downward sloping green. And as Catrina's shot comes in and almost hits me, it continues to roll all the way to the bottom of the ravine and tuck itself underneath a log. Jessica's forehand is coming in hot and hits the tree. That would have also gone down the ravine had it not kicked off the tree. Very nice bounce to 18 feet for Jessica. And Sarah Hokom with a standstill forehand is going to come around, kicks off the tree, and rolls backward for her, unfortunately. She's going to be left with 28 feet with a slightly downhill putt. And Colleen has hung it wide right, but short. Some may consider that a death putt, as she's a little more than 30 feet. And we'll be looking straight downhill. Here is Catrina's drive. Rarely do you see Catrina have to throw a forehand and throwing it just a bit low. She should be able to get up and down from there. Colleen with a little more than 30 feet here for her birdie attempt. She's going to need to grab some chain, and unfortunately that is off and to the right, and that's going to carry down into the area where Catrina just was. And she catches a tree on her way back up. This is Sarah for birdie 2. And maybe a little bit tentative there, knowing there is a steep downhill that she just saw 2 of her card mates go down. Catrina's going to tap in, saving her easy par 3. After getting up back onto the shelf, this is Colleen for 4. And she's going to have to go from birdie opportunity to bogey 4. Jessica left with a birdie here on the 201 footer. This is going to round out the first 9 for these lady competitors here during their 3rd round of the 2014 Ledgestone Insurance Open presented by ABC Disc. And Sarah Hokom is looking to move off the 9th hole with a par 3. And there you have the front 9. I'm Jessica. We just watched the front 9. Now let's head to the back. Thanks, Jessica. I'm so glad to be here. We're here at hole number 8 as Jessica is in fact throwing straight down this fairway. Hole number 8 measuring in at 309 feet from the short tee. The long tee on this hole is 408 feet, exactly 99 feet directly behind it. However, the players just must navigate down this fairway as it is a tunnel the entire length of the hole with a small opening at the end. Dead straight, however. And Catrina has released that a little bit early, catches a tree on the left-hand side. She's going to have some work to do to get up and down from there. Sarah Hokom lining up for her forehand shot. And Sarah hits a tree on the left side and kicks it further left. Seems as if Sarah is not overly enthused about that, and understandably so. Colleen going with what I believe is a rock or some form of mid-range. Going for that control of straight up the middle at 309. And nice smooth release, however it is fading slightly left the entire length of the throw. Catrina on the left-hand side has a little work and catches a tree and brings her almost straight down. Sarah with a rare backhand, and we'll say she had a choice word that she was not thoroughly pleased with that shot. And Jessica from the right-hand side of the fairway has a forehand approach. Catrina is going to put next to the basket, just looking to take a 4 at this point. Sarah is putting also right next to the basket and looking at a 4. Colleen's now finally taking her second shot and is laid up to 10 feet away. After Jessica's approach shot, this leaves her with a 3 opportunity and does not grab any metal there on the right-hand side. Her comebacker, however, is good. And she's going to walk away with a 4. Colleen looking at the only par 3 opportunity left amongst her card mates here, as Catrina will tap in for the bogey 4. And Colleen's going to be happy with a simple drop in for her 3. She picks up on 1 on the rest of the ladies on the card. We're going to move over to hole number 9, and it looks like she's going with a flying squirrel, and it's a very solid shot. Hole number 9 is a newer hole that has been an addition to this course in the past few years. 354 feet. Our tournament director, Nate Heinold, feels like it plays much further than that, possibly because of the tunnel and the fact that you cannot fully flex a shot if you're a right-handed backhand thrower. Jessica has hit on the right-hand side, but looks like she may have gotten a very good kick there. We know that all of our top lady competitors can throw upwards of 400 feet or more. Certainly know that Catrina Allen can also do that. However, when dealing with a much more narrow fairway, it's a little harder for them to unleash as much as they'd like to. That's a slight flip up. However, it is on the left-hand side. Hokom lining up for her forehand shot. I apologize if that sounds repetitive, as Hokom is, again, predominantly a forehand thrower. Rarely, in fact, will you see her throw a backhand shot. Looks like she's hung up on the right-hand side. Beautiful hole number 9. Catrina has a forehand which catches edge and looks to roll into the right-hand side of the fairway. And from the right-hand side of the fairway, Hokom is throwing her approach shot. Looks like she's going to be right next to the pin. Jessica has, let's say, at least 120 feet or so to the pin. She did throw into the rough on the right-hand side. Somehow it managed to kick straight out into the fairway. However, she then goes after that tree on the right. Colleen has done the same after throwing a perfect drive right into the center of the fairway. She hits the same tree that Jessica does, and Jessica is going to have an approach shot, or a long putt I should say, from the right hand side. Colleen stays in the fairway. This is for her 3. And unfortunately, with that downhill slant, looks like it's carried past the pin. Catrina for 3 is no good. Colleen catches right hand chains, but that is not enough. And unfortunately, even with that beautiful tee shot, she is going to take a double bogey 5. Jessica has obstruction and just not enough chain, a little bit low, and she is in and out. Hokom is going to be very happy to just card the par 3, as the rest of her competitors had taken bogey or multiple bogey strokes here. She's going to pick up 1 or 2 on each of her card mates, and Colleen will tap in, as does Catrina Allen. It was a challenging hole number 9 with a par 3 by Sarah Hokom and 4s or worse for the rest of the group. Moved over to hole 10, which does set up nicely for a forehand thrower. There's not really a clean route on the right hand side, so most players will be throwing a slight turnover shot. This hole measures in at 261 feet, and now that we are out into the orchard holes, you'll see that there's going to be a low ceiling on a number of these holes out in this area, and looks like Catrina may have even overcompensated a little bit, knowing that she wanted to keep it low, and unfortunately she is low and left. Colleen still working that new forehand that she said she's been working on. Many people will tell you that if you can throw a forehand shot anywhere between 250 and 300, it will certainly shave strokes off your game. And that seems to be a good shot. She is just right of the pin and a little bit short. And Jessica seems to have released that low, and with the slightly longer and wet grass that we found out at this course for the last few days, she gets absolutely no skip from there. She's got at least 70 feet to the pin, and she is just to the right of it. Cat is a little shorter than Jessica's lie, makes good. And Colleen unfortunately gives away a birdie opportunity there. She is left of the chain and does not grab any. And Hokom also with a birdie opportunity. She's off the top. The comebacker by Colleen is right. And Colleen is going to go from a birdie opportunity to a bogey. She's been struggling a little bit today with her putting. And hopefully she can get it on track here. This is Hokom for her par 3. Man, no problems. The short putt with the crane leg extended and the backpack on her bag. Catrina taps in, as does Jessica. And Colleen, with a little bit of frustration, she's going to card the bogey. That's 261 foot, hole number 10. Hokom sets up very nicely for hole number 11's tee shot with a forehand that is on the left that is coming in nicely toward the basket. Short tee here on hole number 11 is 231 feet. There's OB on the left hand side. The cemetery is in fact OB. However, it would take a absolutely horrible shot to even think about getting all the way over to the OB on the left hand side. And Catrina is left of the pin and just a bit short. She's going to have at least 30 to 35 feet, maybe even a little longer. Jessica sets up for a forehand, and that's low, and this time she does get a skip. May have been a little more than she was looking for, however, she does get that forehand skip coming in from left to right. Colleen setting up for a wider hyzer route, and it looks like she's going to be a little bit deep of the basket. Her 40-footer hits the top number plate. She's going to be settling for a par 4. Correction, she's going to be settling for a par 3 there. And Catrina had stepped it off and is just outside circle. And she makes good on a jump putt from 38 feet. A few of these holes out in the open area are must-get birdies. Jessica goes ahead and snatches up a birdie here on hole number 11 with her 20-footer. Sarah is less than 15 feet for her birdie here on number 11. And Colleen will tap in for the sole par, giving up a stroke to the rest of her card mates. We're going to move over to hole number 12, which measures in at 252 feet. This is a hyzer shot, which finishes on the left-hand side. We're going to see Sarah Hokom try and turn over her driver, and she has thrown it up in a position where it was impossible to follow. However, we're going to watch a very nice shot here by Catrina Allen. Throughout the years, the trees have grown in considerably on this hole, making it a much smaller gap than it was just a few years ago. The ideal shot is something just like Catrina's there. You can either go the lower right-hand kind of mid-level hyzer shot, or there's a slightly larger gap just above that where you can go with a higher hyzer shot. You really need to hit your line on this hole, however, because if you come in short and left, you could get caught up by the trees. And long and right can also get you caught up by the trees. Looks like Jessica's caught some action on that left-hand side. And Colleen has a clean looking shot, however it looks to be just a bit short. Jessica has a very nice approach to the basket. Sarah did in fact make it around the quarter, which is absolutely critical here. Makes your approach and or birdie run that much more realistic. And Sarah's putt is straight, however it's off to the right hand side. Colleen is left. And this is Catrina Allen, who went deep of the basket. Thought it was going to be right next to it, and really doesn't matter as she makes good on her 40-foot putt. Carding very nice back-to-back birdies on 11 and 12. And Colleen puts in as well. We see 3 threes here by the ladies on hole number 12, as we're going to watch Sarah Hokom tap in for her par. And of course, Catrina Allen with the birdie too, picking up a stroke on the rest of the card. And that is hole number 12 here at the Northwood Park. Catrina was asking or crowdsourcing as to what dish she should be throwing and what route, and she opted on a roller shot, and that's going to finish to the right hand side. Hole number 13 here, which Sarah's preparing for, is 603 feet. Again, this is one of the newer holes that have been slightly redesigned in the last few years. I believe the last time I had visited this park was sometime around 2007 for the U.S. Amateur Women's Championships. In fact, that wasn't even an amateur event. That was just the U.S. Women Championships put on by Old Man and Mom Wallace, the rest of the Peoria Frisbee Club. And Jessica throws a roller which hits a tree out in the, we'll say, left-hand side of that fairway. And Colleen has good movement on that. Unfortunately, it catches the trees on the right-hand side. Jessica's shot does not get as far as she was hoping. Colleen here, again with a very nice line, just catches one of the trees in the way. And we're seeing Hokom hit some cabbage, so to speak. Another solid line, very straight and narrow. However, it was left, and she's going to place herself behind the trees, which is going to hurt her. Catrina's approached nicely, as has Jessica. And Hokom was looking to go left of that tree. I believe she said that was a very lame shot, and she was not thrilled with that. Catrina's going to put up next to the basket, hoping to card a par 4. This is Hokom putting for her par 4. And it looked like it wanted to go in. It hit the edge on the right-hand side and unfortunately just stayed out. Jessica's going to put in for her par 4, as does Catrina. So par 4s by Jessica and Catrina, and bogey 5s by Colleen and Sarah Hokom. Hole number 14 is 279 feet from the short tee. It is a turnover shot for a right-handed backhand thrower. You need to be just to the left of those spruce trees. If you follow the grassy knoll the whole way, that will lead you right to the basket. The basket is in fact not the one you're looking at straight in front of you. It is just to the right once we pan over. And it is blind from the tee. This hole does set up nicely for a forehand thrower, such as Jessica or Sarah. And that should be a very good looking shot. Sarah also with the advantage of a forehand line here. And as you can see at the last moment, that cut in a little bit early. You'd rather be a little bit left on this hole than right, because you do not want to be inside those trees. And here again we have Colleen Thompson going with a forehand shot. And she's on that left-hand side in the open. From 35 feet, Colleen is off the front of the basket. And as I mentioned, those trees, Sarah Hokom is not far from the pin. However, not a very good line or angle at that birdie opportunity. Jessica is going to be deep. We watched Catrina, who had to also pitch up as she was near the trees on the right-hand side. So she'll take a par 3. Jessica's left with a birdie opportunity here. She is no more than 25 feet directly behind the pin. She's got some obstruction there, and she is not going to capitalize on that. Hitting off the front of the rim and rolling a few feet away. These ladies have just 2 more holes to play, 15 and 16, before the round is complete. It was at this point I really had noticed that it didn't seem as if everyone was having a really good time. So we'll see if they can pick it up in the final couple holes. And Catrina throwing a mid-range to pin deep with the basket. Hole number 15 is 225 feet. It has a sloping green. I am directly behind the basket, even from where I'm standing versus where the basket is, has a drop off. And Jessica goes with a backhand and finds herself on the left-hand side of the fairway. Hokom comes in a little bit late, and she catches a tree on the right-hand side of the fairway. Her right, our left. And anytime you're more than 30 feet away from this pin, if you're short of it, it's really just probably best to lay up, because if you miss a putt and you're looking straight at the pin from the tee, you're going to go down at least 15 to 20 feet past the basket, maybe a little more depending on how aggressive your throw was. And Sarah throws a very nice backhand within a few feet of the pin. Jessica lays up just short of the pin. And Catrina makes good for her birdie 2 here on hole number 15. Catrina somewhat distancing herself from the rest of the women's division at this point. And Colleen is happy to jump on top of a birdie opportunity. She cards a 2, as does Catrina here on hole number 15. And Sarah and Jessica, not to be confused with Sarah Jessica Parker, Sarah and Jessica tap in for their 3s. That's hole number 15. Catrina goes with a backhand roller, which catches edge and seems to roll up and to the right, which is not a bad place to be on this hole. And she's flirting with that left-hand side. This hole measuring in at 492 feet, hole number 16. It has a short and long tee, and with the ladies playing the short tees here during this round, it is 492 to the pin. And Jessica has a very nice forehand shot, which is finishing up and to the right. And our final drive here by our 2012 Women's World Champion, Sarah Hokom. And her shot looks like a carbon copy of what we just saw from Jessica Weese. And as we can see there, they are less than 10 feet apart, and Sarah is up to throw first. Colleen was on the left-hand side and had a very nice approach on top of the hill. Jessica going with a backhand shot, playing it from right to left. And Catrina is on top of the upper shelf, throwing to the basket for her approach. It looks like she's a little shorter than she'd like to be. Colleen for birdie 3. And it looks like that was really just more of a smart layup. Hokom's attempt at birdie 3 from down below the basket is just a bit short and right. That leaves with Jessica an opportunity to take the birdie 3 here. And Jessica is good. That's going to get her back to 2 over par for the round, taking the birdie 3 here on hole number 16. Very solid roller shot off the tee, and an approach shot to within 25 feet of the pin here on hole number 16 for Catrina Allen. And just a few inches short. Catrina's going to have to settle for a par 4. And with that par 4, she taps in. She is now sitting 10 strokes in front of her next two competitors, which are Sarah and Jessica. They are tied at 3 over par, and Catrina sits at 7 under par.
I'm the Disc Golf Guy, and this is my video blog. I've caught up with Catrina Allen, who is sitting on a sizable 10-stroke cushion leading into Sunday's final 2 rounds. We have 18 holes here at Northwood Park in the morning, and then 9 more in the final 9. Talk a little bit about your round out there. They just got done watching the back 9. Talk a little bit about it.
Back 9. I don't know, up and down, some good putts outside the circle, but a couple easy putts missed. A couple up shots I'd like back, but I felt like between the ups and downs, pretty solid, pretty consistent.
Yeah, not too bad. We'll say you've been pulling away slowly every round from your competitors, and I mentioned a couple different times throughout the coverage, it seemed a little somber in the group. Are people just ready to be off the course? Has it been too much golf? What's been going on? It seemed like everyone was just, we'll say, a notch or two on the somber side.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I think for us, maybe playing the shorts can be monotonous. You know, that same distance, that same, that's really like, well, I didn't throw a good shot, but I still have a putt, or I still have a look, or it's an easy up and down. So that kind of puts you in that mode sometimes, I feel like. And we've been doing that since the start, so possibly that's starting to get to us.
Anything in particular? They've seen the front 9 and now the back 9 the entire round. Any hole that stands out to you as your favorite, or when you remember this course and you leave, any hole that sticks out to you that you really enjoy playing or think is an all-around great hole out at this Northwood course?
Oh, I'd say this one from the long 16 and 18 since we played both tees. Yeah, they're just beautiful with the hills and the trees and the elevation.
And speaking of elevation, I'm relatively short, but you're not that much shorter. You're just a little bit lower than me. Any final words or parting shots as you move into the final round that we're going to see 18 holes in the morning and then 9 in the afternoon? Anything you'd like to say to anyone out there that's been watching or taking in the action?
No, just thanks for the support. Thank you to my mom, to Prodigy, and everyone who sends messages. Thank you.
All right. Well, that is Catrina Allen. We'd like to thank her and the rest of the ladies for letting us tag along. Andrew was on the live scoring. We appreciate all the help there. This was the 3rd round at the 2014 Ledgestone Insurance Open. Nate Heinold's been putting on an amazing show, and they have ridiculous payout. And now that it's warmed up from 40 degrees this morning to mid-60s, we're looking for a great finish to this weekend. For everyone here at the Disc Golf Guy Productions, and Catrina and the rest of her traveling crew, I'm Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy. This is your world champion, Catrina Allen, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow after the last final putt drops.